Yeah, I know. But you can't take over the world that way. You need to use more of them. 5. Bum, 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 bum. Hello! Another video for Kings of War. Today we are looking at the Northern Alliance. So the Northern Alliance is made up of a multitude of different races. You've got the humans, dwarves, elves. Is the elves in here? I think there's. Yeah, elves, half elves even, naiads, trolls. Yeah, got quite a few different races involved here. So the thing with the Northern Lights are alignment is good, which I'd have thought it'd been neutral considering, but you know, whatever. They've been brought together either because they didn't want to join a imperialist regime in terms of some of the dwarves. They were outcast in terms of some of the, well, in terms of most of the half elves, or just wanted to range out a bit further. So the army special upgrade in the big book, starting on, well, it's on page 273, is Snow Fox. This unit has +1 attack, and I think it's a pretty good upgrade, because every attack has a chance to wound, and every attack has a chance to help with nerve tests. So yeah. So starting with the infantry on page 273, starting with the human clansman. Speed 5, melee 4+, defense 5+. Troop attacks 10, nerve 9, 11, and 90 points. Regiment 12 attacks, 13, 15 of nerve and 140 points. Horde 25 attacks, nerve 20, 22 and 230 points. They've got crushing strength 1 and wild charge 1. Not too bad. They can exchange the shield for two-handed weapon, lowering defense to 4 but gaining crushing strength 1, so you're getting crushing strength 2 for free. I mean, unlike most elite infantry, you've got like the Basilian paladins and that sort of thing. You've essentially got high defense and that's your main strength. But with these, you've got high strength, an extra inch of charge, and crushing strength 1 already built in. So you might want to not bother with the crushing strength 2 because you're still fairly cheap for what you can do. The only real downside I can see for the human clansman is the hitting on 4s. That's really it, to be honest. Next one is the dwarf clansman. Speed 4, melee 4+, defense 5+. Troop 10 attacks, nerve 10, 12, 75 points. Regiment 12 attacks, nerve 14, 16, 115 points. Specials, fury, wild charge 1. Options, exchange. They've just basically got exchange the shield for two-handed weapons, gain crush strength 1 for free. That might not be a bad idea for them. It kind of makes them dwarf berserkers, sort of, but with less attacks. Maybe they've got a bit better than nerve than human clansmen, but obviously they don't run as far and haven't got crushing strength 1 as standard. Yeah, they're both not bad, but if you want something that hits harder to start with, the human clansman would seem better so far. Half health berserkers then. Speed 6, melee 3+, defense 3+. Troop attacks 15, nerve dash 13, 115 points. Regiment 20 attacks, nerve dash 17, 180 points. Special rules: Iron Resolve, Thunderous Charge 1 and Wild Charge D3. These are a pretty good unit. These are pretty fast, and they are a bit more expensive than the Human Clansmen, but they've got a bit more on the Wild Charge, and they've got Iron Resolve, which helps, and they've got a hell of a lot more attacks. They've got nearly double the attacks on a regiment, and they've got 5 more attacks on a troop. Either taking them as a small troop or a regiment isn't a bad idea. It just depends on how many points you're willing to put into these. Last for the infantry is the Ice Naiads. Speed 5, melee 4+, defense 4+. Troop 10 attacks, nerve 911, 90 points. Regiment 12 attacks, nerve 1115 and 140 points. Horde 25 attacks, nerve 2022 and 230 points. Special rules: ensnare, regeneration 5+, and wild charge 1. These aren't bad. Looking at the basic infantry, I think unfortunately the dwarf clansmen are the weakest. Main reason being is the half elf berserkers. You've got some infantry that's fast, fairly cheap, and can dish out a hell of a lot of attacks, and are really good on the charge. You've got the human clansmen that can pretty much do everything you want. They've got good defense, they've got good strength, and you can make them really, really strong for free if you want. The Ice Naiads are a bit more defensive. They've got ensnare and regeneration, meaning your opponent's not going to hit them as easy. And their defense and attack are slightly below average. Well, the defense is slightly below average, and the attack's slightly average. And the nerve is on the average. So it depends what you want. But the dwarf clansmen, they don't really do anything for me. I suppose their nerve is slightly better than anyone else's, unless you take the half-elf berserkers into account. But their defense is worse, but they're supposed to be the berserkers. They haven't got much armour, if any at all. Running forward, doing a lot of damage. So the heavy infantry on page 273. And these are the Husskarls. Speed 5, melee 3+, defense 5+. Troop 15 attacks, nerve 1113, 145 points. Regiment 20 attacks, nerve 1517 and 225 points. Special rules: crushing strength 2, fury, wild charge 1. These are a pretty good unit. They might seem expensive, but even if you go for a troop of them, you've still got 15 attacks at crushing strength 2, and with fury, it doesn't matter if they're wavering, they can still punch something who's charged them with no problem. Though the counter charge thing only works if you've got a magic item with some sort of counter charging, with some sort of charging item on it. Other than that, they're just really tough and brutal. In the King's War Vanguard starter box for the Northern Lights, I think you get 2 Husskarls. I think at the minute that's the only way to get them. Other than that, I'm not really sure. They look like the Nords from Elder Scrolls Oblivion, but really bulked up. If they'd been on the gym for about 2 years straight and doing nothing else with the rest of their lives, they just really oomph. And the rules and stats do show that. They're really good. So next then, the ranged infantry on page 274. Pack hunters, a regular unit. Speed 5, melee 4+, defense 4+, defense 3+, range 4+. Troop 10 attacks, nerve 911 and 110 points. Regiment 12 attacks, nerve 1315, 145 points. They've got Pathfinder, Stealthy, Thunderous Charge 1, Wild Charge 1, and they've got short bows which are 18-inch range. They can exchange the short bows for javelins which are 12-inch range. They've got steady aim and piercing for 5 points for a troop, or an extra 10 points for a regiment. I'd probably take them as troop because the difference in the amount of attacks and nerve, it just really isn't enough for me. I'd probably I'd probably give them the javelins, because you've got a small unit that's got some piercing that can still move and shoot whatever on 4s. So I'd probably do that if it were me. The Elf Clansman then. Speed 6, melee 5+, range 5+, defense 4. Troop 8 attacks, nerve 10, 12, 90 points. Regiment 10 attacks, nerve 14, 16, and 120 points. They've got bows, which are 24-inch range, and they've got elite at range. These are slightly cheaper than the pack hunters, and they're not a regular, so you can take as many of them as you want. Your problem is, I mean, they've got better defense than all the other ranged infantry units, but they shoot on 5s, and isn't that really the point of range stuff? They're supposed to hit a bit better. I'd take either of the other two, which I'm going to get onto now. The Icekin Hunters, who are irregular. Speed 6, melee 4+, range 4+, defense 3. Troop 8 attacks, nerve 10, 12, 135 points. Regiment 10 attacks, nerve 14, 16, 180 points. They've got elite, pathfinder and scout, and they've got steady aim on their bows, which is 24-inch range. They've also got a rule called Ice Dipped Arrows. If 1 or more points of damage are scored with this unit's bow attack, the target's enemy unit is given the Frozen special rule, which means they move slower, which is not a bad thing. A lot of this stuff in the Northern Lights have got Frozen in it. These are the most expensive of the range units, and, well, it's kind of obvious why. They shoot on 4s and can still move. So you've kind of got a 30-inch range bow if you count the movement within. I would probably go for a troop. Pack hunters, I'd probably either go for a troop or a regiment. Yes, the amount of attacks on the nerve doesn't really spark any difference, but you've got thunderous charge on the pack hunters, I suppose. The range infantry of the pack hunters and the Icekin hunters aren't bad. The Elf Clansman is just there because, well, they've got elves, as far as I can see. Well, I suppose because they're cheap as well. Next we have the Swarm on page 274. The Snow Foxes, which are irregular. Speed 8, melee 5+, defense 2. So you can only take them a regiment because it's a swarm, so a 40mm base per swarm. 10 attacks, nerve 9, 11, 8 points. Nimble, pathfinder, stealthy, vicious in melee. 8 points for regiment. It's alright, isn't it? It's not bad. So we have the large infantry on page 274. The Ice Elementals, which you can buy these as a unit. The 30 quid, which might seem a lot, but they are really nice models. You can, even if you're not a great painter, I mean, I'm not, but I could probably get some really nice paint out of these. Really nicely done. So, speed 6, melee 4+, defense 5+. Spellcaster rank 0, by the way. Regiment, 9 attacks, nerve, dash 14, 145 points. Horde, 18 attacks, dash 17 on the nerve, and 240 points. Crushing strength 1 and shambling. They've got Icy Breath, which is the attack, so they've got Icy Breath with 9 with a regiment, or Icy Breath 18 with a horde. Frostbite, this unit's Icy Breath spell has the piercing 1 modifier, which ain't bad. You've got the Icy Breath, which can cause frozen, which means enemy units slow down. It hits on 4s unless something happens to them, and you've got piercing, which is no laughing matter. It's not too bad. They might seem a bit weak compared to others of their type, like the fire elementals, water elementals, and the like. But with a ranged attack with either 9 shots or 18 shots with piercing 1, that's pretty decent. Cavalry then. Tundra Wolves, which is a irregular unit. Speed 9, melee 3+, defense 4+. Troop 5, which is 9 attacks, has 9 attacks, sorry. Nerve 10, 12 and 115 points. Regiment 18 attacks, 13, 15 on the nerve and 180 points. Special rules, nimble, thunderous charge 1. These are like the snow foxes, but they are obviously bigger in terms of the unit size. They've got more attacks and they hit a bit harder and the nerve's a bit better. That's pretty much it. Monstrous Infantry on page 275. Snow Trolls. Speed 6, melee 4+, defense 5+. Regiment 9 attacks, nerve 12, 15, 130 points. Horde 18 attacks, nerve 15, 18, 220 points. Special rules, Christian Strength 2, regeneration 5+, vicious in melee, and wild charge 1. So they've got a 13-inch charge, a Crushing Strength 2, hitting on 4s, and they regenerate on 5s, and they've got defense of 5, and they reroll 1s to wound. These are evil. There's not really much of a downside to them. I suppose they don't hit on 3s. I suppose that's it. The nerve ain't bad either. The nerve is actually pretty good. Though for units of this calibre, they can be wavered. I suppose that is a big downside to them. I suppose. Next we have the large cavalry on page 275. The Frost Fang cavalry. You can get these in a unit of 3, in a box of 3. They're 40 quid, I believe. They're about that price. That might seem a lot for 3 models, but they are amazing looking. They really are. Plus, if you multi-base them, you could have 2 as the regiment, and then have 1 as a hero, because you can have a hero variant. Oh yes. So the large cavalry unit variant, speed 7, melee 4+, defense 5+. Regiment 15 attacks, nerve 12, 14, 160 points. Horde 30 attacks, 15, 17 on the nerve, 265 points. And I think that's a slight cheap, to be honest. Slightly cheap. Crushing Strength 2, Strider, Wild Charge 1. So they've got a 15-inch charge. I mean, can your wallet afford to hoard them out, as the term goes? And you can just have an army of them because they aren't irregular. Oh God. Oh, that's awful for people's wallets now. Wow. Oh, I'm just saying that because they're really, really good. I mean, 160 points for Crushing Strength 2, charging on 15-inch charge, 15 attacks. The only real downside is, I suppose, the nerve is a little bit low for the points cost. Only a little bit. They have a lot of attacks. They've got Strider, so they can just power through. Doesn't matter about terrain. Next we have the monster on page 275, the Cavern Dweller, which, if you look at the League of Infamy Kickstarter, they have unlocked one. Speed 6, melee 3+, defense 5. You can only take 1 because it's a monster. Attacks D6 plus 6, so minimum of 7 attacks, maximum of 12 attacks. It's no laughing matter either way. Nerve 16, 18, 210 points. Crushing Strength 3, Life Leech 3 and Strider. This is ridiculous. 210 points ain't that bad for what it is. If you want cheap, you could take, I don't know, how many points is a basic cheapo? You could have Human Clansman Horde, Dwarf Clansman Infantry Regiment if you want something cheap to unlock one. Yeah, these are ridiculous. Hit on 3s, Crushing Strength 3, 7 attacks, 7 to 12 attacks. There's nothing really else you can say, really. Titan on page 275, the Frost Giant. Spells caster rank 0. Speed 7, melee 4+, defense 5+. Attacks D6 plus 8, so minimum of 9 attacks, maximum of 14 attacks. Nerve 18, 20 and 230 points. Brutal, Crushing Strength 4 and Strider. Spells, Icy Breath 8. I would honestly go more for the Cavern Dweller. Yes, the nerve is slightly less, but you can recuperate that with Life Leech. And he hits on 3s rather than 4s. But Frost Giant's not bad either. You've got Brutal, you've got an extra Crushing Strength, so you've got Crushing Strength 4 rather than Crushing Strength 3. You've got better nerve, you've got more attacks. It's essentially, do you want a cheaper giant or do you want a slightly more expensive giant? I suppose it depends how many points you've got left, but I'd take either a Cavern Dweller or a Frost Giant. Either's pretty good. War Engine on page 275, the Icekin Bolt Thrower. Speed 6, range 4 plus, defense 4 plus. 2 attacks, nerve 10, 12 and 95 points. The Bolt Thrower is 48 inch range, blast D3, elite range, piercing 2 and reload. Ice tipped bolts gives it the frozen rule essentially, like the Icekin Hunters have got. It's not bad if you want a cheap amount of shooting. That's not bad. I suppose the Elf Clansmen have also got cheap shooting, but then again, they hit on 5s rather than 4s. The Icekin Bolt Thrower has got more chance of hitting. But considering the Icekin Hunters and the Pack Hunters around, they are, I feel, a slightly better option instead of the Bolt Thrower, but it has got 48 inch range. So the heroes, starting on page 276. The Lord, he's a heavy infantry. Speed 5, melee 3 plus, defense 5. 5 attacks, nerve 13, 15, 110 points. He's got Crushing Strength 2, individual, mighty, very inspiring. Wild Charge 1. You can have 1 Horn of Winter in your force. Gives it aura, Wild Charge +1, so everyone within 6 inch gets a extra +1 to the Wild Charge. Nice. Infantry and heavy infantry only. I suppose the half-elf berserkers would really take advantage of that. For 10 points, not bad. Snow Fox for 10 points gives it 6 attacks, Crushing Strength 2, mighty, very inspiring. 110 points, no, 120 points if you take a Snow Fox. That's not bad, not bad. Some of these heroes are worth considering. In most forces you might see 1 or 2. In this I can see a fair few heroes being taken. Icekin Master Hunter. He's an infantry, or she's an infantry, whichever way you want to model them. Speed 7, melee 3 plus, range 3 plus, defense 4. 3 attacks, nerve 11, 13, 115 points. Elite, individual, pathfinder, scout, stealthy, and has a bow which is 24 inch range with piercing 1. And he's got ice tipped arrows, which if you look further back in the units I've discussed before, gives frozen. Theogen on Frost Fang. It's a large cavalry hero. Speed 7, melee 3 plus, defense 5. Attacks 5, nerve 13, 15, 125 points. Crushing Strength 2, inspiring, Frost Fang only, so you need Frost Fang units for this to work. Nimble, Strider, Wild Charge 1. Options, Snow Fox for 10 points. 6 attacks. How many points is a regiment of Frost Fangs? 160 points. I would honestly not bother because the amount of points costs, it doesn't feel like the difference is enough. It's 35 points, you're getting more attacks on the Frost Fangs. You're getting, is the nerve better? Alright, nerve's a little bit worse. And hits on 4s. I'd probably go for the Frost Fang cavalry unit. You get more out of them, I feel. The Theogen. Speed 5, melee 3 plus, defense 5 plus. Attack 3, nerve 11, 13, 50 points. Crushing Strength 1, individual, Wild Charge 1. You can take Talazar's standard, which gives rally 1 for 15 points. It's not bad. You can only have one Talonar's standard in your army, and you can take a Snow Fox for 10 points. A bit expensive considering it only gives him 4 attacks rather than 3. Take the standard if you want, but apart from that I just wouldn't bother with him. Doesn't give inspiring, which for cheap heroes is kind of the point. Lord on Frostfang then. His large cavalry, as you'd expect. Speed 7, melee 3+, defense 5+. 8 attacks, nerve 15-17, and 190 points. Yeah. Crushing Strength 3, Nimble, Stride, very inspiring, Wild Charge 1. Can take a Snow Fox for 10 points. I maybe take a Snow Fox, make it 9 attacks. I would probably consider him because his nerve is pretty decent. It's about 2 or 3 points more than the Frostfang unit. Yes, you've got less attacks, but as it's a single bloke on the Frostfang rather than a regiment of them, you could take you could buy a regiment of them and have all 3 as lords on Frostfangs. Just take a load of cheap regiments and have these popping around all over the place. It's really going to be pretty decent. The Ice Queen then. She's Spellcaster rank 2. Speed 6, melee 5+, defense 4+. 1 attack, nerve 10-12, 80 points. Not really a combat person, but as the Ice Queen is Spellcaster rank 2, you kind of what you expect. Got Ensnare, Individual, very inspiring, Frostbound only. So inspires things like the Frost Giants, the Ice Elementals, and I think that's about it really. Other than anything that's got Frostbound, she inspires them. Master of Ice, when target friendly core Frostbound units or enemy units have the Frozen special rule, this unit can re-roll one of the dice that failed to hit with Bane Chant, Heal, Icy Breath, Wind Blast, Surge or Blizzard. The Ice Queen kinda means you're theming your army a little bit. I mean, you don't have to, but to get the most out of the Ice Queen, you kind of need to theme your army around giants and ice elementals, essentially. So we've also got she starts with Icy Breath 10, which fairly decent. Options: Bane Chant 2 for 20 points, Heal 5 for 35 points, Surge 8 for 30 points, or 3 if you place Icy Breath. Wind Blast 6 for 25 points. Blizzard 2 for 30 points. Not bad. You can only have 1 Blizzard in your entire army. I'd probably go for Bane Chant and either Heal or Surge. I'd only take 2 extra spells at the most, because really taking all 4 spells is good, but you ain't going to be able to use them all at once, and because of the nerve value, she's going to die if she's poked out, and she will. Though I would possibly take more than 1 Ice Queen if you're going for a theme list. So take a few either Bane Chants or Heals. It's not bad. Lord on Chimera. He is a Titan hero. Spellcaster rank 0. Speed 10, melee 3+, defense 5+. 10 attacks, nerve 17-19, 320 points. He's a big one. Crushing Strength 3, elite in melee, fly, nimble, very inspiring. And he's got Icy Breath 10. They have a Chimera model. I think it's 40 or 50 quid. It looks amazing. Mears Miniatures also do a Chimera, which is also really, really nice. You've got the Deserty Chimera, which is the Mears Miniatures one, or you've got the Icy Chimera, which is this one. I don't know which one looks better, if I'm honest. They both look really good, and yeah. I mean, if I did Northern Lights, I mean, just looking at the stats, I'd get one. Well, I'd probably get two, to be honest, but that's just me. Ice Blade then. Hero Infantry, 6 on their speed, melee 3+, defense 4. Attack 6, nerve dash 14, 105 points. Crushing strength 1, duelist, individual, inspiring, half elves only. So the half elf berserkers, that's pretty much it. Wild charge D3, can take a snow fox for 10 points. Not mighty, which is a shame. But I'd probably take a snow fox because you've got crushing strength 1 for 115 points. You're charging 13-inch range to 15-inch range, which isn't bad. Duelist, so you can really take out other heroes. Yeah, it's not bad. The points cost is a bit much, but considering what she does, it's kind of what you expect. The Ice Blades are hero hunters, it would seem. The Snow Troll Prime. 5 attacks, nerve 13-16, 120 points. Speed 6, melee 3+, defense 5. Crushing strength 2, inspiring, trolls only. Nimble, regeneration 5+, vicious in melee, wild charge 1. Yeah, most of the it's a monster hero apparently. I thought it'd be a monstrous infantry hero, but oh well, I suppose that's what it is. It's just a big bugger, really. It is what it is. Do you like taking a load of frosty trolls? Then go for this one, really. Nothing really to say. 120 points with 5 attacks. Why can't he take a snow fox, Mantic? Why? So we have the Scald. Move 5, well, speed 5. Melee 5+, range 4+, defense 4. Attacks 2, nerve 10, 12, and 55 points. Has individual and inspiring. Has got thrown axes, which 12-inch range and piercing 1 with 2 attacks. It's a cheap hero that gives inspiring. I'd have thought the Talanar standard would have been on the Scald. The Theogen, what's the point? You've got crushing strength 1 and wild charge and an extra attack and a bit better nerve. There's that, I suppose, and defense a bit better, but surely you've got units and heroes that do that better for only a slight more points increase. I'd go with a Scald every time because at least it does what it needs to do. Lastly, we have the unique units on page 277. Olaf the Barbarian then. Speed 5, melee 3+, defense 4. Attack 6, nerve dash 16, 135 points. Crushing strength 2, individual, mighty, vicious in melee, wild charge D3. Has unstoppable whirlwind. Once per game, declare you are using this ability before Olaf attacks in melee. For the rest of this melee phase, Olaf have 12 attacks instead of 6. That's ridiculous. He's 135 points, which is dirt cheap for what he is. Nerve 16 is nothing to moan about. His defense is a bit low, yes, but he's hitting on 3s. He's got a charge of 11 to 13. His crushing strength 2, which if you use the unstoppable whirlwind is going to ruin pretty much anyone's day. Even if their defense is 6, you're going to need 4s to wound them. And you can reroll 1s to wound because of vicious. He's a ridiculous hero. You can buy him in Dungeon Saga in the core game. You can buy him in the Legendary Hero box, which is I think 20 quid for 4 heroes. They're all resin. Or I think you can get him on his own, but don't quote me on that. That's the only way to get the proper model, by the way. Clarion, I think that's how you pronounce him. Olaf is a infantry hero, by the way. Clarion is a cavalry hero. Speed 8, melee 4+, range 4+, defense 4+, all 4s. 3 attacks, nerve 11, 13, 95 points. He's got dread, individual, very inspiring, and he's got throwing axes, which is 12-inch range, piercing 1. He's not bad. The dread means that enemy units within 6 inch have to take a wound, and very inspiring means friendly units within 9 inch reroll their nerve tests when attempting to be routed. He's not bad. The thing is, before, the only way to get this model is in the diorama where there's the Dream Eater looking up onto him, and he's got his axe raised up, and he's on, it looks like a giant ram, essentially. I was wondering, apart from the model looking really, really nice, what's the point? And then I read Dread, and then it all makes sense. He's kind of like a Scald, but he's got Dread, and he hits a bit better in close combat. And I thought he'd have Thunderous Charge 1, considering he's on the giant ram. But hey ho. Lastly is Whom, Legendary Ice Giant. Titan Hero, surprise surprise. Spellcaster rank 0. Speed 7, melee 4+, defense 5+. Right, sit down for this. Bear in mind, he's 260 points, which is 60 points less than the Lord on Chimera. Attacks, D6 plus 10. Nerve, dash 20. So, minimum attacks, he's got 11, and 16 attacks he's getting at most. Here come the special rules though. Brutal, crushing strength 4, Strider, very inspiring, frostbound only. So, he only inspires all the frost giants, ice queens, yeah that's right, and ice elementals. And he's got icy breast 12, just cause. What the hell do you say to that? He's got a 14-inch charge. He's just ridiculous. He's just ridiculous. So the Northern Alliance. This is an army that hits hard and lets you know about it. The main downside is their range stuff is a little bit lacking in terms of staying power. It's slightly more expensive too. However, their melee stuff is really, really punchy and can give you a hard time. But again, it's a bit more expensive. And as I've just said, the legendary Frost Giant is ridiculous. Take Olaf and take the legendary Frost Giant. Yeah. I'm sorry, but go back to them bits in the video. They're just ridiculous. So, that's it for now. Goodbye.